Hello everyone and welcome to chapter 3 lesson 3 logical operators. In the previous lesson we learned how to use comparison operators in where clause. Here we are going to learn how to use logical operators. A logical operator used to combine two or more conditions together to produce a single result based on those conditions. We have three logical operators. We have AND logical operator, which returns true if both conditions are true, or logical operator, which returns true if either condition is true, and the last logical operator is not, which returns true if the condition is false and return false if the condition is true. Let's have a look at this example to understand how to use logical operators with where clause. Here select last name, job ID, salary, department ID from table employees, and the condition is where department ID equal 100 and the salary greater than or equal 12,000. Here in the where clause we combine two conditions together. The first condition is department ID equal 100 and the second condition is salary greater than or equal 12,000. And we have here AND logical operator. So the logical operator, as we said before, it used to combine two or more conditions together to produce a single result. So here we have one condition, which is department ID equal 100, and the second condition is salary greater than or equal 12,000. Here we have a comparison operator equal, and here we have a comparison operator greater than or equal. So the logical operator AND here is used to combine these two conditions together. The department ID equal 100 and the salary greater than or equal 12,000. So if this condition is true and this condition is true, the result will be true. Both conditions must be true in order to retain the record by the select statement. The department ID must be 100 and also the salary greater than 12,000. Both conditions must be true in order to return the record as a final output. So as we can see, this is the output of the select statement. Here we have only one record. As we can see, the salary is greater than or equal 12,000 and here the department ID is 100. So both conditions, as we can see, true. Let's take another example here. Select last name, job ID, salary, department ID from table employees where department ID equal 100 or salary greater than or equal 12,000. So here we have two conditions. This is the first condition, department ID equal 100, and this is the second condition, which is salary greater than or equal 12,000. So if one of the conditions is true, the row will be returned by the select statement. If department ID equal 100 or the salary greater than or equal 12,000. So this is the output of running this select statement. As we can see here, the first record, the salary is 13,000, which is greater than or equal 12,000. And here the department ID is 20. Because one of the conditions is true, the record returned by the select statement. Here in this record, the salary is greater than or equal 12,000 and here the department ID is 110. So one of the conditions here is true, so the record returned by the select statement. Here the salary greater than or equal 12,000. Here, for example, the department ID is 100 and the salary greater than or equal 12,000. Both conditions are true. Here the department ID 100, one of the conditions is true. Here one of the conditions is true. So as long as one of the conditions is true, the record will be returned by the select statement. Let's take another example here. Select last name, salary, commission underscore PCT, department ID and job ID from table employees, and here where job ID equal SA underscore man, and the second condition and commission underscore PCT is not null. So this is the first condition and this is the second condition. The first condition, job underscore ID is SA underscore man and the commission underscore PCT is not null. Both conditions must be true in order to retain the record by the select statement. So as we can see, the job ID here is SA man and the commission underscore PCT is not null. We have a value here. Here we have a value as commission underscore PCT and here the job ID is SA underscore man. Both conditions must be true in order to retain the record by the select statement. Just keep in mind when use the logical operators, there is a rule of precedence. There is a priority of one logical operator over the other. Here we have not logical operator. It has the highest priority, then and the last one, which is or. Not and or. This is the order of the priority of the logical operators. You can use parentheses or you can use braces to override rules of precedence or the priority of the logical operators. Let's have a look at this example here. Select last name, department ID, salary from table employees where department ID equals 60 or department ID equal 90 and salary greater than 10,000. Here, as we can see, we have three conditions. This is the first condition. This is the second condition. And this is the third condition. And here we are using to combine conditions together. We are using logical operators. We have here or, and we have here also and logical operator. As we said before, and has a priority over the or logical operator. So you can read your where clause where department ID equals 60 or department ID equal 90 and salary greater than 10,000. So if the department ID equal 90, the salary must be greater than 10,000 in order to return the record by the select statement. Either this condition is true or this whole condition is true to return the record by the select statement. So if the department ID is 60, the record will be returned by the select statement. If the department ID is 90, the second condition, which is salary greater than 10,000, must be also true in order to return the record by the select statement. So as we can see here, the records, this is department 90. The salary must be greater than 10,000. As we can see, the salary is greater than 10,000. Here 90, also the salary greater than 10,000. 90, the salary greater than 10,000. For this record, as long as the department ID is 60, the record will be returned by the select statement, regardless what is the salary. So as we can see here, 60, 60, 60, and also 60, regardless the value of the salary. In the second example here, select last name, department ID, salary from table employees, where here we are using braces to override rule of precedence, where department ID equals 60 or department ID equal 90 and salary greater than 10,000. So we process this condition together. This is the first condition and with this condition. So in order to return the record by the select statement, the department ID equal to 60 or 90 plus the salary greater than 10,000. So the salary must be greater than 10,000 and the department ID either 60 or 90. So as we can see here, this is the records returned by the select statement. The department is 90 and the salary greater than 10,000. The department ID is 90 and the salary greater than 10,000. The department ID is 90 and the salary greater than 10,000. So as we can see, there is no rows returned by the select statement where department ID equal 60 because there is no any employees where the department ID equal 60 and the salary greater than 10,000. So in this example here, the salary greater than 10,000 applied for both the department ID 90 and 60. So in this lesson, we learned how to use logical operators in where clause. I hope this video was informative for you and thank you for watching.